this storm has shown some rotation. Now, it doesn't look very tight. This warning is coming out because anticipation of this working its way down to the surface. Now, I'm going to show you our velocity data here, and I'm going to zoom in on the area of concern. If I zoom in there, just east of Duncan Creek and Double Shoals, which is right here, here's Bellwood, there's broad circulation right there. So this is north of Lattimore, northeast of Ellenboro. This is heading towards the north side of Shelby in Cleveland County. So the immediate threat is going to be here in Cleveland County, north of Shelby. So if you're in this location, I want you to head to the interior room, away from those outside walls and windows. Get as low as you can. If you have a helmet, put it on your head. That's the best thing you could do. Protect your head. That's where most of the injuries in these tornadoes come from. Now, if you're watching me, whether it's online or streaming or on TV, and you have friends or family in this area, do me a favor, grab your phone right now, call them, tell them there is a tornado warning for their area. Most folks may not be paying attention to the TV or the weather right now, and they need to be in their safety location right now. If you're not familiar with that safety location, here's where that is in your home. If you've got an interior bedroom, a hallway, a closet, even a hallway, that is the best place to be. You want to put as many walls between you and the outside. What makes tornadoes dangerous, I know it seems weird, we often say they got the strongest winds on the face of the earth. It's what those winds pick up and throw at people. So you want to block that stuff. So that interior room is the best place you can be. You certainly do not want to be outside in this storm as well. Now, outside of the tornado risk with these storms, we've been talking about this all day to keep you weather aware. Large hail with this storm, so there might be wind-driven hail as well as this storm pushes to the southeast. I'm going to put a storm track on the rotation part. So this is the tornadic part of the storm. We'll track it into Gaston County. This is the latest storm track here at 3:05. Remember, pay attention to that time on the top of your screen, because if you're watching via stream, there's going to be a little delay. Remember, in the world we live in now, most people watch via digital platforms. There is a delay, so make sure you're giving yourself some buffer here. Do not wait any longer than you have to. Head to that shelter now. Timing here, Double Shoals pretty much right now, 3:05. Fallston, 3:07. Waco, 3:16. Cherville, 3:21. Bessemer City, closer to about 3:33, and Ashbrook Park. Now, if this continues pushing east, I'm going to give you an early heads up in Gaston County. This is heading towards the city and town of Gastonia. So the south side, west side, northwest side of Gastonia, you need to start thinking about that shelter location right now. If you're planning to head out, do not stay in your location. You need to be close to a sheltering location right now. Let me go back to the rotation here, and we can see that rotation showing up pretty vividly right here. It's broad though, and what I mean by broad is the whole storm. This is what we call mesocyclone. So there's rotation within the mid-levels of this storm. Likely the updraft is rotating. What we're looking for an intensifying tornado is that circulation to shrink up or get tighter and work its way down to the surface. So it does look like it's doing that right now. I'm going to turn off that circulation. We'll go to the other radar, which has a little bit of a better view, and you can see that the circulation certainly looks a little more intense with this. So we've got winds coming in like this direction and the winds wrapping around like this, just on the north side of Double Shoals. So it does look like some pretty intense circulation starting to develop there. Whether or not that's on the ground or not, we don't know. It's based on Doppler radar right now. Let me turn off the lightning. I don't see any debris showing up on the radar, but again, we're pretty far from that radar data right there. So that circulation, Double Shoals, Fallston, Cherryville, north side of Shelby, you need to be in that shelter location right now. Again, do me a favor. If you have friends, family, people you go to church with over in this area, please go ahead and call them right now and let them know to seek shelter, because the winds right here are showing broad circulation. And if we're going to see the tornado touching the ground, it's going to be right in that vicinity. So go ahead right now, amplify the message for me. Go ahead and call and let them know. So we're just around the Polkville, Duncan Creek area on Highway 182 and Delight there, Lawndale, Fallston area, Kingstown, Zion, Woodsdale, all of those areas kind of in the north central part of Cleveland County. I'm going to widen this out, just give you a little perspective on where we are. Turn the lightning off. We know there's tons of lightning. Lightning isn't the story with this right now. It is the tornado warning till 3:45. And again, this storm has had a history of producing some really large hail and 70-mile-per-hour winds. So these aren't normal severe thunderstorms today. Even the severe thunderstorm warnings, you're going to want to seek shelter in a sturdy structure away from outside walls and windows. Remember, a couple weeks ago, we had a storm very similar to this that impacted York County and Rock Hill with 70 to 80-mile-per-hour winds and baseball-sized hail. That's the kind of storms we're talking about today. So even the severe thunderstorm warnings are considered considerable today, meaning they have considerable damage possible in them. But we do have an embedded tornado warning within the larger severe thunderstorm warning, which is out there right now. A couple tips to give you if you are out and about today. If you're in an office building or school, get to that interior room as well. That's the best place you can go. If you're in your house, get underground or basement. If you don't have a basement, a lot of folks don't. Interior room works well as well. If you're in an office building, get away from those big walls of windows, interior hallways, bathrooms. Even in our building, we have labels on most of our rooms that are considered tornado shelters. Interior room is best. Now, a vehicle, this is a tough one. If you're in a vehicle, try to drive to a shelter location. If you get caught, though, in your vehicle, do not get out of the vehicle. We used to tell people to get out and get in a ditch. That puts you in more danger. Put the seatbelt on, grab your head, cover it up, and lower yourself down below the level of the dashboard. You don't want to be in a car, but trust me, that's a better place than being outside, being impacted by flying debris. And at the last ditch effort, if you are outside and there's nowhere else to go, low-lying area, ditch, creek bed, maybe a ravine, get in there and lower and protect your head. All those situations, protecting this is the most important thing. You remember in school, you went in the hallway, right? And cover your head up with your arms. Don't use your arms if you have to. You can, obviously. Helmet would be better. They work much better than your arms. So that's why we tell you if you have a helmet, go ahead and use that. So here's a look at the radar here. We'll pan this out just a little bit more to give you a better view of this. We're going to grab our camera over in Gaston County here in a minute to kind of show you the wider view of this. But this storm is approaching from the northwest. Now the speed, this is important. These are moving about 35 miles per hour. So that forward speed is not going to give you as much time as you might think to seek shelter. That's why if you're watching this via stream or on our app, YouTube, any social media, remember, huge delays on social media. That's why we always put the time. The current time that I'm talking right now is 3:10. You might be seeing this at 3:11, 3:12. So just remember that. These are the times for the cities in the path. Right now, Shelby, north side of Shelby, 3:15. Light Oak, 3:20. Cherryville, closer to 3:23. Krause, 3:31. Now, I know that's a specific time. Don't wait to that specific time. Give yourself about 10 minutes of buffer there on either side. And if it gets to that time and nothing happens, stay in your shelter location until we give it the all clear. There's also a buffer on the backside of this. Kings Mountain, 3:31. Bessemer City, 3:36. High Shoals, 3:41. Gastonia, Ranlow, Gastonia Municipal Airport, 3:50. And then Stanley and McAdenville. So we're starting to get into areas ahead of the warning. These are outside of the warning polygon, but we still want to give you as much warning as possible with that. So I'm going to try to pull up our Dallas camera here real quick just to see what we're seeing from our Dallas camera. So I'm going to bring up our camera, which is over in Gaston County. Can't see a lot. We'll try to maneuver the camera, but we've got meteorologist Brittany Van Voorhees in here as well. And Brittany, we've got a lot of other warnings, and I think we got some new watches that were just issued as well.
Yeah, so the severe thunderstorm watch that was previously issued for areas west of I-77, Brad, has now been expanded for almost all of our counties now until 10 p.m. This was, of course, expected, and this was, of course, because of the storms that we're talking about now we have one that has since become tornadic, and that's the one that you're talking about now that's going on until 3:45. So this is the new severe thunderstorm watch we have up right now. Again, this is the thunderstorm that has now produced that tornado warning that we have in place till about 3:45. Brad, of course, been talking about all of these areas, including Falston, over toward Johnstown. You can see Baker Crossings. This is continuing to move toward the south and east. Now, these areas, these are the spots that you want to get into your interior room, away from any doors, away from any windows. Good places to be. Closets, bathtub is always a good spot. If you have that basement, of course, that's a good option option as well. Cover the head. Brad always says it too. The helmet, a great option to have. Anytime I go to a school talk, the major thing that we talk about with the kids is protecting the head. That's the number one thing. You want to keep it safe from any kind of debris. I also remind people too, try to have some kind of shoes on. Anytime that you see any kind of debris and there's glass, things like that, if you're coming out of the closet, things of that nature, you want to make sure that you don't, hurt your feet, things like that. So keep this in mind. Again, if you're toward the Lawndale area, Falston, Baker's Crossings, these are the spots that definitely need to be in your safe place. Double Shoals too. As Brad's been mentioning, the rotation itself is relatively broad, so we don't have really tight rotation, which is positive news, but this is something that we still continue to watch until about 3:45. So if you're in any of these areas, you do need to continue to watch this. As we track it out, you can of course see those areas in the past. So just a good reminder, again, you need to find your safe place right now. If you have the WCNC Charlotte mobile app and you have those location services turned on, you would have gotten that notification for the tornado warning. So if you don't already have it, again, a good idea to go ahead and grab it now. Of course, we have this tornado warning in effect. Brad, any new information coming in about the warning so far?
Not so far. I'm keeping a close eye on our spotter reports over in that area. The problem, Brittany, is this is part of a larger storm that is producing a lot of wind, a lot of large hail. We've got cloud-to-ground lightning. So this is going to be a situation, I feel, that we're probably not going to be able to see a physical tornado on radar. So as we take a look at the radar there, you're going to see that we've got that tornado warning still in effect till 3:45, but potentially that's going to be what we call rain wrap. So you're going to have that storm be embedded into some rain, and it's going to be much more difficult to see. So the area right here is where the circulation is, and that circulation looks like it's going to stay just north of the Shelby area. That's the area near Double Shoals, basically right to the north there. That's where we'll have the biggest risk, I think, for the tornado. But the whole county, honestly, you probably need to be seeking shelter in just about every single location on the map there, because especially in this north central part of Cleveland County, northwestern Gaston County, and eventually this might be extended into Mecklenburg County. So trying to give you as much heads up as we can with this system as it's moving in. So we're going to hopefully try to move the map here, but you can see right there, Bellwood, Double Shoals area towards the Cherryville area. That's the area of greatest concern right now. I'm going to try to see if we can.
Do you need to move the map,
Yeah,
Brad?
can you move the map just
Okay.
from a little bit
Yeah.
there?
Just tell me where to go.
Push it just a little bit. We're going to go down towards the Cherryville area, just to the west there. So yeah, so the circulation, the Cherryville is right there. The circulation's up here. Now remember, we show you radar. Not only is our signal not technically live, there's going to be a delay if you're watching streaming. The radar is not live. Remember, the radar sweeps once a minute. Okay, so we're getting a picture of what's happening in the storm. By the time the radar comes back around, the storm's already jumped ahead. So think about traffic on an interstate flying by you. If you take a snapshot of it, you see that one car. Now that car's already passed you, right? You take the picture. That's what the radar's doing. So that's what the radar shows about a minute ago. So it's likely that the circulation is somewhere between Baker, Crossroads, and Cherryville. So between Waco and Cherryville, that's where I would be seeking shelter right now. Brittany, let's take a look at the velocity data with that again. I'm kind of curious to see, where it's pretty broad. Yeah, that's a huge, you see the inflow. So this is away from the radar. So the colors, the Doppler velocities, the colors that are red. So is this GSP we're looking at here?
This is GSP.
Okay, so GSP is down in the upstate of South Carolina. So this wind's going this direction, and this is going back towards the radar. So we've got broad circulation there. Take a look at the terminal. I'm curious to see.
Here's the terminal.
Yeah, so both are kind of, in between there. It's a broad circulation. I'll be honest with you, looking at just radar interpretation-wise, this is not what I would say was probably a tight circulation. This is oftentimes when we hear radar-indicated tornado warnings, sometimes we actually see debris and it's actually a confirmed tornado, but a lot of times you're trying to forecast the tornado. So this is the development stage where the storm itself is rotating here, strong winds coming back through Double Shoals now, and as this tightens up, you'll get the tornado to form in that vicinity right about there. So that's why I'd say like Cherryville, Johnstown, Waco, Baker, Crossroads here, Flay, anywhere in here, we could see the tornado touch down. And I used to chase, they call this the bear's cage. This is underneath the rotating updraft. You can get the tornado to come down anywhere in this vicinity. So even if we see a circulation there, you got to be on guard in this whole area. And that's why you see the polygons much wider than we normally see. So can you widen that out just a little bit, Brittany?
Yes, and I think you made a good point too, Brad, earlier, talking a little bit about people that are streaming, is that, you talk about the snapshot.
Yeah.
You also need to keep in mind that there is a significant delay with streaming as well. It can be upwards of 30 seconds, even upwards of a minute, even if you're doing it, through your phone, on the internet, on the computer. So folks, keep that in mind too, as you're seeing this. If you're seeing this and you're thinking, I can wait a minute or two, grab some water, you got to do it right now.
Better to be early than late. And anyone who watches sports via streaming knows that if you're following on social media, there's a big delay, right? Stuff's happening on social media before you actually see it on your stream. Same thing in the weather here. I think we got some picture from Polkton coming in from some of our viewers out there. But I do want to show you just those strong winds on the backside. Lawndale, the Double Shoals, those are 58 to 60 mile per hour winds. So this is sometimes considered the RFD, or what we call the rear flank downdraft. So you have 58 mile per hour winds there. That's when you see the blue, you're getting that. That rear flank downdraft is usually what causes tornado genesis, or the beginning of the tornado. The flow comes out the back, it wraps in and actually pulls in the inflow, and it tightens up the circulation. So one of the precursors for tornado genesis or development of tornado is a strong surge in the RFD, which is the rear flank downdraft here coming out of the backside. So that the fact that we have such strong winds there, not only are those dangerous, again, you get a severe thunderstorm warning for those type of winds there, but that also can help produce the tornado. So Cherville, you should be in your shelter location. Now, I know not everybody's watching us right now. It's impossible, right? But I know you know somebody who lives in this area, and you might be watching, and this is your opportunity to call them. They might be out mowing the lawn, going to the store. Maybe they're picking the kids up from school. Let them know, hey, I don't know if you guys know, there's a tornado warning for your area. You need to seek shelter right now. So you can amplify this message for us and help us get the word out. Brittany, let's widen this a little bit further. I'm kind of curious to see what's going on with the storm structure in general. Yeah, so there's the inflow notch. There's the RFD coming out the backside. So Cherryville definitely for sure is the area that I would be the most concerned about. Now, if you're in Lincolnton, probably going to miss you. Shelby as well. This is kind of in between. But Dallas, where our camera is, and I don't know if you can throw up our Dallas camera. I think we aimed it due west, guys, in the booth, if you can see that. Our Dallas camera's right there. So, yeah, we've got a good view of this storm now, looking directly back at it. And that's a guy wire, by the way. There's, this is a giant 1,500-foot tower. So we've got guy wires that help support it. So if you're wondering what that is. So what we're looking at here is this is the cloud base. And a lot of times I'm looking in the southwest corner of the storm. So down in this area, that's the rain shaft. So if we're going to see the tornado drop, it's actually right behind the guy wire in that general vicinity. So that's an area we'll have to watch right now. So we got a Polkton video here. That looks like a shelf cloud coming at us. That's actually not a bad thing. The outflow from storms produces shelf clouds, and when you see outflow boundaries, those tend to be, you can get straight line wind damage, but that's less of a tornado risk. Definitely can be damaging winds, but I'm actually encouraged we're seeing that, because that means less of a tornado risk. But as we've seen with these storms today, they have produced a lot of wind, and you would expect there to be a big shelf cloud with this outflow of the RFD. So pretty strong indication of something trying to spin up. Everyone, so just got a new severe thunderstorm warning popped up right there. This is my computer over here telling me. So what they're doing, and Brittany Webb, I'll show the wider view. So they're extending a larger severe thunderstorm warning for this whole cell as it moves into the Mecklenburg County now. So this is an early heads up. So there's the tornado warning, and this was the new severe thunderstorm warning just issued. Now it does include Charlotte. So here we are at 3:20. I threw Quail Hollow Club on there because we got a lot of folks out at Wells Fargo today. Last track I had at 35 miles an hour, it's going to put that at Quail Hollow Club at around 4:20ish. So roughly an hour, maybe less. And one of the things about out there is you do not want to be in one of those temporary structures, because they are not safe in a tornado. So Kings Mountain, 3:30, Bessemer City coming up at 3:36, South Gastonia around 3:45. And again, these are really precise numbers, right? I say this all the time. Precision's not the same as accuracy. Give yourself 10 minutes plus or minus these time, okay? So be on either side of those. And the circulation is right there. There's a very defined inflow notch right there. That is definitely the reason we have a tornado warning. Is there a tornado on the ground? Hard to tell. Not seeing anything on the radar. We're not getting reports. I'm not seeing debris on the radar. But that on radar is the precursors. And the whole point of having a warning is to give you a heads up. So that's why you're seeing the warning based on the Doppler radar right now. So I'm going to look at a couple things quickly here. I'm not seeing a whole lot.
Yeah. Just a quick reminder, everyone, that a watch and a warning. The watch means that the ingredients are there, so there is everything in place for the potential of a severe thunderstorm or a tornado, and the warning means that there is that potential. Either something has been actually seen or the rotation was there. So a warning is that enhanced heads up. So a warning is worse than a watch.
I will tell you, if there's not a tornado in this, I would seek shelter the same way. Could we go back to the velocity data there,
Absolutely.
Brittany, from the terminal? Because one thing is catching my eye on the radar data in particular here. These winds, I mean, those winds are 50, 60, maybe 70 miles per hour. I would be telling you to do the exact same thing for a tornado warning that you would be doing in this case for just straight line winds. Remember, wind is wind. Your house, your windows, the tree limbs, the branches, they don't care what produces the wind. Tornado, derecho, hurricane, thunderstorm, they just care that that wind speed is the threshold for them to break. So when we get winds of 58 miles per hour or higher, that's the threshold for severe thunderstorms because we know that's what it takes to cause damage. All of those winds right there are going to cause damage. They're going to pick other things up, parts of your neighbor's roof, shingles, awnings, trampolines we see all the time. It's going to throw those at whatever the wind speed is, and then they become missiles or projectiles that cause further damage. So go ahead, seek shelter in your interior room, even if you're not in the tornado warning, because of the speed of the winds with this storm. And this is a nasty looking cell right here, Brittany.
It really is. That 67 mile per hour and those 265s really catch my eye, especially.
Yeah, I'm just going to pop that off for a second.
No, you're good.
Yeah, the thing that is really, it seems like it's intensifying as it's pushing southeast. And so the concern here is that this storm is not weakening. It's actually getting stronger with time. And there's the updated movement. You can actually detect a little bit of rotation within the cell itself as it's moving down here.
Yeah, we had a lot of sunshine today. I'm sure that contributed to the instability.
We're almost near 90 right here. So if you look carefully, even the reflectivity, you can actually see the whole storm rotating. This is what we call a supercell. Supercell is a small individual storm, and I know this doesn't seem small, but it's just this storm that has a rotating updraft. The inflow is coming in from the south, the outflow is coming in the backside here, and what's happening, it's getting twisted and wrapping up, and that rotating updraft is gonna drive this 90-degree humid air way up into the sky. It's below freezing, below 0 Celsius, and all those locations high up in the storm, in some cases, 20, 30 below 0 Celsius. It's going to freeze that into giant hail. It's also going to create cold, dense air, which is then going to want to come crashing back to the ground. So this is all the ingredients you need for a very severe storm. So our Dallas camera, which is roughly right there, looking back to the west, we zoomed in on the southwest corner. So what I'm looking at here, guys, we could throw that up at the wall if we can real quick, kind of tell you what we're looking at here. So what we're looking at is the southwest corner of the storm. You see the shelf cloud. I'm looking for a lowering that we call a wall cloud. The wall cloud is an extension of that rotating updraft coming down the mesocyclone, and that's kind of the precursors for a tornado. So if we see a lowering there, we would start getting a little bit more concerned. Thanks for popping that up, guys. So yeah, we're looking for a lowering. So if you've ever seen a wall cloud, it's going to look like kind of like a little flange coming down from this storm. And here's the base of the cloud right here. And so this lowering here is what we're watching. And this is the rain shaft here. So it could get wrapped in rain. You know, you could see the rain get pulled back in there or wrapped in hail, but oftentimes the southwest corner of the storm is where you're going to see that tornadic signature and the tornado pop up. So we're not seeing a lot right there. But the indication are, and I know you guys are controlling the camera, can we widen this back out? I'm kind of curious what the whole storm is looking like because we're probably getting a pretty significant shelf cloud forming with this cell. And the shelf cloud is going to look ominous, and people are going to think that's the tornado. That's actually just a sign of the strong winds, which we want you to seek shelter from that. But the tornado would be back in this actual area. I'm looking at winds now, just looking at my laptop here. we're getting close to some winds within this storm of close to 75 miles per hour. So this bowing or pushing out segment, the reason that's bulging out like that, you've probably heard us say bow echo, or if you've seen one of our weather IQs, think of a bow and arrow. If I take the bow and pull it like that, and I'm pulling the string back with the arrow, and it starts arcing like that, think of the arrow as the wind, and so it's launching the wind straight out in that direction. So that is the bowing segment. So there's damaging winds of 70 miles per hour there, but where it's pulling back this way, this is where things are wrapping up. You can actually get a circulation on the south side of the bow echo as well, but the north side is the area of focus right now, where we have maybe 70 mile per hour winds. So there you go. You can see the shelf cloud right there. Boy, I'm gonna get out of the way because, yeah, that is one ominous looking storm. So we basically have strong outflow. I can almost see the rotating updraft. You can see the mesocyclone. So to put the structure of the storm into perspective, this whole thing is rotating, right? That's the mesocyclone. It's a broad circulation. Now, if that circulation tightens up and shrinks down to the bottom, that's where you get a tornado, and likely would drop out right in there, okay? And if you've ever played tetherball, I know that's an old school game, probably dating myself, but tetherball, you know when the rope and the ball is attached to the pole and you swing it and it goes real slow, but when the rope gets smaller and smaller, right, it spins faster and faster. So when you take this broad circulation and shrink it up, it causes things to spin quicker. Figure skaters do this in the Olympics. They pull their arms in when they do their spins. The tighter they get, the faster they spin. That's what happens in the atmosphere as well. So when you take a broad circulation and shrink it up, you get intense rotation. And so that's what we're watching. And I mean, Brittany, if we look at this storm long enough, we might be able to see the whole thing rotate.
I know. I was about to say, I play tetherball too, Brad. Actually, if you guys can pop up
I don't know. I talk to some kids in school. Sometimes they look at me like I'm
If you
crazy.
pop up traffic for a second, I actually pulled up the picture. If you guys can take down the banner for just a second, you can actually see this is the wall cloud that Brad's talking about. It's that little piece that drops down, and then that's the tornado. So that's what he's talking about. He's talking about pulling down. So oftentimes people see the wall cloud, and that's what they report when they say that they saw a tornado. But it's actually, you have to have the wall cloud. It's almost step one. Funnel step 2, and then tornado step
these
3.
are like our ingredients, our cupcakes. You know, our cupcake ingredients mean we have a watch, and when we get a tornado warning, we have a finished cupcake. In a tornado, these are some of the ingredients. We've got a rotating updraft, we've got that wall cloud, and then the final step is the tornado. So the tornado warning, we're almost outrunning the tornado warning polygon, but here's the thing. This severe thunderstorm warning, which does include most of Charlotte, that severe thunderstorm warning is as dangerous as a tornado warning. This is one of those rare days where the severe thunderstorms aren't your regular severe thunderstorms. In fact, most of our severe thunderstorm warnings that we have around here are what we call base severe thunderstorm warnings. Base severe thunderstorm warnings can sometimes just be regular old thunderstorms, but then you can get what we call an considerable or destructive kind, and those tend to have really damaging winds. I'm looking down at some of the data here. I'm looking for reports because we got so many people over in that area.
So far, the only report I've seen is pea-sized hail on Lafayette Street in Shelby. That's only confirmed there from Foothills Weather Network.
Thank you guys for sending that in.
Yeah, over in Shelby in Cleveland County.
And remember, you guys can send us reports as well. The Near Me app on our app is great, but do it safely, please. I don't want you outside. We're telling you to seek shelter right now until these storms pass. Please wait till they pass until you go out and take videos or pictures. There's no need to put yourself in harm's way with this because just going to log in here real quick because we don't want you to put you in harm's way just to get a picture. But I will tell you that the images and pictures you do send in, they do help because think about everything that's happening right here is moving towards Gastonia. It's moving towards Mount Holly. It's moving towards Belmont. It's moving towards Charlotte, Rock Hill, Fort Mill. I could sit here and talk about all this science and what's happening here, but you show someone a picture of what's happening here, they're most likely going to seek shelter quicker when they see an image or a picture. So that's why those images are so helpful to us. So that storm, the warning's up till 3:45. Here's the thing. I'm looking at my watch. My time, and whether you're watching at home or on stream, it's I got 3:23 or 3:32, excuse me, 3:32. We're going to outrun this. It's going to be outside of this way before we get to the end of this warning, which is supposed to be 3:45. So
I did ask the National Weather Service, Brad, if they were planning on extending it as it gets closer to the metro. They are still evaluating. I also think we're not ignoring the fact that there's also a significant amount of lightning in the cell, about 600 lightning strikes. So
Yeah.
it's still pretty substantial there as well.
Yeah, the whole thing is trying to triage the way these warnings are. And I want to widen this out just a hair. I'm going to widen it out here and show you that warning, which extends all the way to Charlotte. So what you're looking at is a larger warning, which does include all of Mecklenburg County now, parts of York County, and the Panhandle of Lancaster County. Here's, one of those things where people always ask me, are you guys leaving us out? This is a jurisdictional thing. Another Weather Service office is responsible for that little narrow strip there. You're under a warning too. Don't worry about that. You should be in your shelter location. Western parts of Union County as well, but that's the storm. And I'm showing you Quail Hollow Club on there because, guys, it's an important couple of days here. We've got a lot of people outdoors and not the greatest of locations. And I know Vanessa and Nick are over there at the desk, and you have some updates on what's happening out there.
Yeah, that's right. So, Brad, of course, we're concerned about folks and their safety as they're out at this big event. We're just hearing now from Wells Fargo, due to inclement weather, the course is closed, and they're going to send some updates with more information regarding today's rounds, is what they have just released. And it sounds like tomorrow there could be some impacts as well.
Yeah, and I got a chance to talk to meteorologist Chris Mulcahy earlier today, and it just was, with folks out there, the open space, the golf clubs, it was just a recipe for a bad situation out there. So they had to suspend play today and close up the course.
So in the near term, of course, right, we're watching the closure of the course today. We just want to give folks a heads up too. We're seeing, looks like Wells Fargo Championship posting on its website. It is expecting some delays tomorrow. So expectations for this Thursday morning, they say that Thursday tee times begin at 11 a.m. Gate times will be delayed. They will announce more specifics by 5 p.m. today, Brad.
Yeah, and that's the right call in this situation because it's going to pour tonight. We're going to see several waves of rain. It's going to take a while for them to get the course in shape, regardless of the safety aspect. But, Chris was right to mention that, Nick, because one of the things I always worry about, I do a lot of outdoor events, weather safety, and when you're in a big, wide open area like that and you have like 30, 40,000 people, it takes time to get them to proper shelter. And those hospitality tents aren't proper shelter. You need to be in a physical building, not a temporary structure, or get you off site. So it's good they're making the call now because it's going to take time to evacuate those people. And that's what we want you to do at home as well. That's why we're very cautious with the time. Here's our current time and here's the loop. I'm going to do an updated storm track on this. And we always tell you, just, don't read too much into the specific times. Give yourself plenty of leeway. So I'm going to track the whole storm because honestly, the whole storm is dangerous. So I'm going to move this over right here. I know I'm going to cover up the tornado warning, but here's the important thing. Here's the city, South Gastonia, Gastonia right around 340-ish, Clover, Stanley. So you see these specific times, give yourself plus or minus 10 minutes on those, okay? Mount Holly, so anywhere from, 350 to 410. That's really the way you should be reading this. These numbers are kind of the medium. There's a plus or minus on either side. And Quail Hollow Club, it's sped up. So this is a good call by them. Earlier I had it at 420. Now it looks like it's going to be around 414. Uptown Charlotte around 415 as well. And then Providence and Matthews closer to 430. So this storm, again, has a history of producing damaging winds and some large hail. We're getting more images from this storm from our viewers. This is from Grover, I believe. So this is the shelf cloud. You see the shelf cloud out there? So this is the cold air rushing out. What happens is a shelf cloud is cool air rushes out, and then the warm air rides up and over it like a wave, and it creates a shelf cloud. So this is not a tornado, but this is an indication of strong outflow or strong winds coming from the storm. Oftentimes, this will catch people off guard outside because they'll go inside when the rain gets here, but right underneath this outflow, the winds could gust as high as 60 or 70 miles per hour without a drop of rain. So you need to seek shelter before that even gets to you. So thank you, Drew, there on X. Impressive image there. We're seeing the same shot from our Dallas camera in many locations. And the biggest thing that I've noticed with this storm is the amount of wind we're seeing with it. So I'm going to go back to our terminal velocity here. And let me zoom in on the map here, guys. So this is the Doppler radar. It's a small radar that the FAA uses out at the airport. It's up at Mountain Lake, so it's really close. And you see all these bright greens. These are all going towards the radar, which is right there. So when you see towards in the way, the reference point is always the radar. You have to know where the radar is, understand the movement. So if all the blues and greens are towards the radar, guess which direction the reds are going? The opposite direction. So you know this is outflow, so where these meet up, that's where you could get a circulation here. And so right there is where we had the tornado warning. And boy, it looks like, I mean, Cherville, if there's a tornado, it's going to be right around Cherville, and in our Dallas camera is probably right on it. So we're looking for a small circulation develop right there because the inflows come in this direction, the outflows wrapping around, and it can tighten up. The surge in the RFD, or the rear flank downdraft, or in this case, just the outflow, this can pull off, and it actually will induce, or we call it tornado genesis, cause the circulation to spin up right there. So that's the area we're watching right now. We're getting a lot of pictures and videos coming in. There's a lot of cloud to ground lightning, but I don't want to show you the lightning because it's going to clutter up the screen, and it's not the important part. The wind is the most important part. Trust me, you should already be inside. The lightning should be, it should have gave you a heads up to head and shelter right now, but we want you in an interior room away from the outside walls and windows. So, normally we talk about these warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, but this is a tornado warning, and the thunderstorm warnings themselves are acting like tornado warnings today. I want to show you real quickly. I had it earlier. I can't even find what I did now.
And Brad, before you go ahead, we just got some images from Shelby. This is from Shelby, down power line.
Oh, wow.
We just got reports, 7,000 folks in the Shelby area without power. You can see there again, that's a power line down. A lot of rain down in that particular, it looks like a neighborhood right there.
Yeah.
And we are seeing a line share right in the Shelby area. We're seeing about 5,000 of those outages a little bit north there. Cherville, about 1,000 closer to the actual Shelby area. And these were reported at the top of the hour, so kind of around the same time that we went on air. And as we kind of watch the closer to Charlotte area, we're seeing some outages even reported, much less widespread, but a couple dozen here and there reported in Charlotte itself. For example, I'm seeing out by Arrowwood Road and Tryon, it looks like some sort of limb came into contact with the equipment is what Duke Energy is reporting, that's causing a smaller power outage.
And even the folks, if you're at the airport right now, there's some, we got about 400 delays at Charlotte Douglas Airport. There are still some folks that are flying in and out of that airport. It's a busy airport. So for those folks, there are about 414 as of this minute of delays from Charlotte Douglas.
Speaking of the airport, guys, trust me, the airport's right here, okay? So none of these planes are going to fly back towards a storm. So that means all the departures and arrivals have to go this way and this way. So that alone is going to start causing issues. And once this storm gets over or near the airport, there's going to be a ground stop. Remember, you do not want to fly anywhere near a thunderstorm. And what people often don't remember is all that lightning we showed you earlier. Now, lightning doesn't really damage aircraft if it's in the air. What it's dangerous to is the ground crews, the people fueling and loading up those planes. They're not going to be on a tarmac in the middle of a thunderstorm, so they all have to seek shelters. That means nothing gets loaded and there's no maintenance or anything being done on the plane, so that's why you see massive delays. But I thought it was interesting, you guys showed the picture from Shelby of the damage. That was actually in the straight line wind part, and that was my concern, is the tornado, if there was one, was well north of Shelby, but Shelby was in the heart of these strong damaging winds, and that's heading towards Gastonia right now. So in Gastonia, we want you to seek shelter in the middle of your house, away from the outside walls and windows, because this whole area, these bright blues and greens are winds that are 55 to 70 miles per hour. Okay, it doesn't matter. That's an EF0 tornado. It doesn't matter if the tornado produces it or the thunderstorm. That's going to cause damage. And we had proof already in Shelby, power lines and trees coming down. And remember, this is over the whole county. The tornado might only be a half a football field wide. The Dallas camera, I mean, there you go. There's our outflow boundary, and this is, oh boy, widen this even more if you guys can see that in there. So this is a really impressive storm right here, because what you're looking at is the shelf cloud, but what I'm looking above, that's the mesocyclone. That's sometimes referred to as a mothership because it looks like a giant flying saucer. That is the rotating updraft, and that right there is the rain coming out. Another name we sometimes call is a whale's mouth, just a huge outflow of air coming out of this. So that is some strong winds. And right below that, the winds could be gusting down here, 50, 60 miles per hour, and that's rain in the background. So the wild colors you're seeing, remember the sun sets to the west, so the sun is coming through the storm, and that's why you see the shades of orange and sometimes green and aqua blue in there. It's because the sunlight's being refracted through all that rain coming from that. But that is an impressive looking cell. Let's widen that out a little bit, guys, if we can. It takes a little bit of delay because this is our camera in Dallas, by the way, if you're wondering at home. We have a camera on the top of our transmitter, I'll spit it out, transmitter there in Gaston County. And what we're looking at is up around 1,450 feet off the ground. So we're looking straight at the shelf cloud. So we're at almost 1,500 feet. So that's where the shelf cloud is. So below it, you're seeing all the heavy rain. And then above that, you could see the massive mothership. So down at the ground, it'll be interesting to see what we see as far as wind. So we're looking down towards the ground. And again, the rain, that's the rain shaft, but the wind is well ahead of the rain. The rain is going to be in the leading edge of that shelf cloud. And I'm looking at winds. I'm going to pull up the Doppler velocities here. Right now in Gaston County, it looks like, based on the velocities from the Doppler radar, we're getting about 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. So you just saw a new warning pop up on our screen there. I'll kind of show you that here in a minute. So that new warning, and you'll hear my computer tell you too. So that warning is a new warning, which is just issued for this storm, likely because it's moving. Now it looks like it's this little tail end of the storm down here. So, but that whole warning, you can see how big the warning is. It's the yellow polygon. It's basically, and look at all the cloud around lightning. I mean, that's why I don't always show it on these storms, but there's tons of lightning in here, which tells you that's a very vigorous updraft. And lightning we know is dangerous. It's not a criteria for severe thunderstorm warnings, but it does tell us a lot about what's happening with this storm because that is considered a huge updraft. So this is coming right at our camera, and this is not a time lapse, by the way. This is real time. Look at the velocity of the winds. The fact that the clouds are moving that quickly tells you that that's how strong the winds are. So that's the rain shaft here, likely some hail in there. And we're probably going to lose visibility here, but look at the shelf cloud, how quickly it's coming. Now, don't confuse this with the tornado. This is dangerous by itself. Up and down motion is always common in every tornado. We call that vertical motion, rolling or tumbling. Tornadoes are horizontal rotation, so it's rotation going like this. And we're not seeing any of that. And here comes the rain coming right at our camera. So even though that looks scary, we call them SLC sometimes, scary looking clouds, that is not a tornadic looking storm. It's straight line winds. And that's what that's telling you. You see the up and down, see how those clouds are going up and some are coming down. They call these convection currents, right? Convection oven, if you have one, you know how it cooks, it rotates that air. We call thunderstorms actually technically convection because in every thunderstorm you have a convection current going, and that's what's driving this. So here comes the rain. Look at this. This is the rain shaft coming at us, and it looks like a little scud cloud flying by. Again, real time, shows you how fast the winds are moving. And here we are at 1,400 feet. So imagine you're in an airplane. That's why you don't want to go anywhere near the storm. So there'll likely be some massive delays out there at the airport. So we got a new severe thunderstorm warning, which is in the middle of this other warning, which is kind of weird. So they replaced the tornado warning with a smaller severe thunderstorm warning. I mentioned earlier, let me pop that back up because it's kind of interesting that they put that warning inside the warning. We mentioned earlier the difference in some of these warnings today and why you got to take them more seriously. There's three types of warnings, and I'm going to show you all three of them here on your screen. So we have the base severe thunderstorm warning, which is here, 58 mile per hour winds, 1 inch diameter hail. But the warnings we're getting today are called considerable. That means you're seeing 70 mile per hour winds and golf ball size hail or larger. Now, if we get a destructive tag, which is right here, 80 mile per hour winds and baseball size hail, your phone will get a wireless emergency alert. And that wireless emergency alert, you don't need an app for, you don't pay for this. This comes directly from the cell phone tower through your cell phone carrier and the government. Okay, so your phone will go off, even if it's unmuted, and that will produce a WIA, or what we call a wireless emergency alert.
Got some new info from the National
Yep.
Weather Service, Brad. They are letting the tornado warning go, but they're saying that the storm coming into the metro, which we already know, has the potential to produce the 70 mile per hour wind gusts. So not continuing the tornado warning.
Yeah, so we're seeing a considerable tag with that. So we got the Chevy Storm Tracker out there keeping an eye on these storms right now. We're going to try to give you some ground reports on what's happening. But again, the tornado warning has been allowed to expire, which was right at 3:45. But we're getting these new severe thunderstorm warnings, which in a rare case like we saw a couple weeks ago in Rock Hill, we want you to treat these like tornado warnings because of the severity of the storm. So this is a live view from our storm tracker in Belmont. So we're heading towards that storm. So that's the shelf cloud that we're seeing. And we're going to get, trust me, I know my PMs right now are probably lit up with views and pictures and videos of this shelf cloud. That shelf cloud is that outflow. That is an indication of really strong straight line winds. It's not a tornado, but what I want you to do, like I just said, seek shelter like this is a tornado warning. Remember, 70-mile-per-hour winds will rip roofs off houses. They'll take down trees, power lines. They'll flip over semi-trucks. They will do extensive damage. Remember, that's borderline Category 1 hurricane, okay? So you need to seek shelter ahead of this. So that's our old storm track. What I want to do is put a new storm track on this. So let's get rid of this storm track here.